Een warm applaus graag voor superbelegger Jim Rogers.
The first thing we need to discuss at some length is the rise of China. It's certainly making the press these days. People seem to understand that something's happening in China, but most people are not fully aware of the full breadth and depth of what's happening in China. In fact, most of the people in China do not understand the historical implications of what's going on. China is the next great country in the world, whether we like it or not. And there are a lot of people who do not like the rise of China. The 19th century was the century of the UK. The 20th century was the century of the US. The 21st century is going to be the century of China. Now, I know they call themselves communist in China, but let me tell you, they are among the best capitalists in the world right now. I know plenty of people who would tell you that they are the best capitalists in the world as we stand here in 2008. In China, they save and invest over 35% of their income. In America, we save and invest less than 2% of our income. In China, when they come to work, they don't say how many days holiday do I get. They say how many days can I come to work. They know how we live in the West. They want to live that way too. They're willing to save and invest as much as they have to. They're willing to work as hard as they have to because they want to live this way again. China's had many recurring periods, well, 3 or 4 recurring periods of greatness in their history. They've also had recurring periods of disaster in their history. In 1978, by 1978, China had been in decline for 300 years. Deng Xiaoping said, we've got to try something new. He unleashed entrepreneurship and capitalism again, and it's working. It is changing the world as we know it already. The changes are going to be even more dramatic in the rest of the 21st century. There are going to be setbacks along the way. Do not think I'm so naive. There'll be plenty of setbacks. America had horrible setbacks as we rose to power and glory. Well, China will too, I assure you. You're going to see more real estate developers and speculators going broke in China this year and next. The stock market is down over 70% so far because the Chinese government is trying to cool things off. So there'll be plenty of setbacks. For what it's worth, I bought more Chinese shares here in the last week or two because I think maybe China might be hitting some kind of bottom. But whether I'm right or wrong is irrelevant. The facts are China is now on the rise again, and it is going to continue to change the world as we know it. It's the most important development of the 21st century. I will tell you that the best advice I can give you of any kind, the single best word of advice I can give you, teach your children and your grandchildren Chinese. It's going to be the most important language in their lifetime. You know, I showed you pictures of my little girls. My little 5-year-old girl speaks perfect Mandarin. I'm not just talking about this again. When she was born, I got her a governess from China, a lady who lives with us, and I said, you only speak Mandarin to this little girl. I want this little girl to grow up with 2 native languages, English and Mandarin. So far it works. People think if they just hear her speak, they think she's Chinese. When they see her, they know she's not Chinese, obviously. And I want the other little girl to do the same thing. We recently sold our house in New York. We left America. We moved to Asia. We moved to Singapore because I'm so convinced that the future is in Asia. I think the best skills that I can give 2 people born in 2003 and 2008 is to grow up speaking perfect Mandarin and to grow up knowing Asia. So I'm not just talking about it. I'm spending time, energy, money, and everything else on this.